In 2018, China adopted a fast-track process for evaluating and approving new drugs, allowing both domestic and imported drugs to hit the market faster. As CEO, innovation is so important, and yet Monday through Friday, you're probably in meetings from very early in the day till late at night. When do you get a chance to just kind of sit there and kind of tinker in your mind, how do we become more innovative? How do you, because that's a key part of your job in a sense, isn't it?
It is, and it's part of the things that I mentioned earlier. How do we differentiate ourselves? And one of the important things to differentiate is to have a more innovative medicine or innovative approach or innovative modality to do things differently. That's the reason that we don't have a weekend. We don't have holidays. I mean, this is where you really do the thinking, right? So nobody is around you, and you're alone sitting in the in an office and doing a lot of head scratching.
CStone's headquarters are located in Suzhou in East China's Jiangsu province. The city has positioned itself as a seat of innovation, establishing more than 20 scientific research institutions and setting up partnerships with U.S. companies. Suzhou Industrial Park is home to many of China's biomedicine and artificial intelligence companies.
Patents in China have grown dramatically in recent years. I mean, trace, it's still kind of in its infancy when compared to the United States, but you must be marveling at what you're seeing here in the landscape. Give me a sense of how the patents have grown, and what does that say about the landscape and where it's headed here in China?
Yeah, so I usually see in 10 years ago or 15 years ago, if you write a paper as a first author in one of the 3 journals, Science, Nature, Cell, these are like a top notch. I mean, you'll be God if you write a first author paper, publish something. That's like a landscape change. That's like a new, like a revolution, something you can get onto there. You probably will be able to apply or compete for the highest rank of the academia recognition, which is an academician. So academician in China is a big deal. Today, fast forward, Science, Nature, and Science, Nature, Cell, these 3. If you were to look at the first author from China, the whole page, I mean, names are filled with Chinese authors, meaning that there are a lot of innovation, a lot of really scientific, basic science has advanced so much in these countries and by Chinese authors. And these people obviously apply to the patent immediately because of the innovation, right? So apply. So my understanding is at least 15% of the global patent on the biomedical sciences are coming from China, secondary to US. So it's a huge number. And obviously with the China being WTO, and there is a standard way of applying for a patent. For example, all our molecule in our company, we have 15 assets.
Coming to China as often as I do, I'm always struck by the differences between the United States and China. And I saw another example of it today. I went to buy coffee with my credit card. Nobody buys anything with a credit card or with money. It's all QR scans. And you think of innovation here. You see a country it's going 100 miles an hour when it comes to AI, 5G, I mean, all these technologies. And you think about the United States has kind of been built this kind of structure, and it's been in place for a long time, but it's kind of slow and plodding. And I kind of see here in China speed. Do you see that when it comes to biotechs as well? And innovation, you mentioned the word innovation. It seems to be kind of in the DNA here in China in many respects.
Yeah. So that's probably two-dimensional. If you were to look at the Chinese biotech versus US biotech, there are several differences. First of all, from the leaders of US biotech, they're usually the scientist, the professor, the guy who invented something. That something must be usually first in class. Nobody has done that. They felt that this is ready. It's no longer just in the play with the mouse. They want to play with human, right? So they usually spin out from university, form out their own company. So the leaders are usually scientists by themselves. And they're usually working on the first-in-class molecule. Nobody has done that before. Even if they are working on so-called me to me better, they're modifying the target itself. That there's a comparison which I'm coming immediately with the Chinese part. And their money usually coming from VC, okay, private equity. Now in China, in contrast, the leader for the Chinese biotech are usually from multinational company executives or multinational company scientists, rarely from academia. Most molecules or assets Chinese company are working on are fast follow, meaning that what US have done or Europeans have done, let's fast follow to catch it. And usually it's a me to me better. In some cases, best in class. When we do me to me better, instead of modifying the target as the US physician, we usually modify the molecule, making molecule somewhat different, more for safety nature or for efficacy nature, and blah blah blah. And when you look at the funding, so that's no longer just the VC. VC is an important part. There's an important part of government support. For CStone, for example, we were established in Suzhou, which again is about an hour from high-tech park. We got tremendous support from government, not only from a human perspective, from a facility perspective, from startup perspective. And this is really a very friendly environment, what we call the ecosystem, to have us grow very fast.
Why Suzhou?
Yeah, this is a very interesting city. They're not even capital of Jiangsu province. They're located in Jiangsu province. But I think their leadership just have this very open, clear mind to welcome innovation. They started many years with Singapore. Singapore government came to Suzhou. They built up some sort of infrastructure, and I just felt that their policies, their way of working with entrepreneurs and the ecosystem they established, it's just so welcoming, and that's why we've been very successful with them.
According to the latest nationwide study, China's cancer survival rate is less than half of that of the United States. And for certain diagnoses, like lung and liver cancers, the survival rate in China is even lower. One reason? Different types of cancers are more common in the two countries. Some of these, like breast and prostate, which are both common in the U.S., are more treatable than others.
I was a physician both in the U.S. and China, studied a lot of comparison of the human sort of disease profile. Other than lung cancer, which is supposedly number one in U.S. and China, many of the Chinese cancers, liver cancer, gastric, stomach cancer, esophageal cancer, or nasopharyngeal cancer, are not even on the list of the U.S. Highly researched drugs. Prostate, brain, pancreatic, and all these are U.S. high list. So if you were to believe that advance in medicine research coming from U.S. or Western country, now obviously that the research on these Chinese cancers are relatively limited, and therefore accounts for something like that. And also another important reasons, we do import U.S. medicine to China. You have to do a clinical trials, despite the fact they have done that. B, that when they are coming to your country, their price is not going to be, like your generic price. So when there was a liver cancer drug called sorafenib, it came to China about 4 or 5 years later after U.S. launch. And when it did come to China, it cost almost 50,000 RMB per month. That's like a huge number for an average of Chinese household.
I'm wondering how the landscape changes, because in the West, if it's not a primary top of mind, but in China it is. Should China be taking the lead? I mean, what are you seeing in terms of merging the two, the West and the East, when it comes to this?
I think this is a great question. In fact, that at US FDA, Oncology Division, they also organize the various conferences and the workshop, try to understand, West and East. In the East, we have large patient population, unmet medical needs, blah, blah, blah. In the West, that, the disease knowledge and the new medicines come to a point whereby we hope we have a homologized way of doing, or standard way of treating patients. So for China part, that liver cancer, we just mentioned that I think because that we treat with liver cancer with so many cases, that we probably gain some experience whereby U.S. physician may not have. And therefore, in the clinical trials, that we could take a leadership of getting certain new drugs on the liver cancer patients. And some of the liver cancer patients could be from U.S. Therefore, we can look at if there's any difference indeed. So in China, the liver cancer patients tend to caused by hepatitis B, like a boy, hepatitis B. This should have been not in my childhood time, but today it is. We didn't have an inoculation of the vaccine of the hepatitis B. Today, everybody has it. I mean, even everybody has it. There's some escape mechanism. Hepatitis B was continue to affect the Chinese population. So in China, there's a huge population with hepatitis B that caused the liver cirrhosis and eventually will develop cancer. Majority of Chinese liver cancer are from Hep B. In the U.S., however, usually come from hepatitis C, or just too much of alcohol, leading to the liver cancer. So there are some differences in the mechanism of action. So therefore, even for the innovative medicine, that there are different, treating the same liver cancer, there are some still different outcome between the two population. So I think from east and west, not only some differences in the disease profile, but also maybe even in the same disease, there are some differences in terms of outcome.
Immunology therapies are just one breakthrough in cancer treatment. Frank says a cure will involve a combination of existing therapies and newer innovations.
If you're successful, if everything turns out the way you'd like it to, what does the cancer landscape look like in the future?
Yeah, I think the best thing that we would look for is that to make cancer a chronic disease first, and eventually, it's just like hypertension. China, I don't know, many 250 million people have hypertension. So hypertension, meaning high blood pressure, is no longer, in my view, an unmet medical need. You got so many medicine you can treat with. There are only a few very small fraction of people that you could not treat because of one reason or another. And it's a chronic disease, and if you do really well, I mean, that will probably also save a lot of side effects. That has not been the case for cancer, far from that. And in my view, that so immunotherapy has made us believe there will be a cure. Now, is it only immunotherapy itself, or immunotherapy plus chemotherapy? Wow, yes, we've seen immunotherapy plus chemotherapy now can do with lung cancer. Is immunotherapy plus the target therapy? Oh yes, we've seen very interesting immunotherapy with the VEGF inhibitor in certain disease, in liver cancer. Is immunotherapy plus immunotherapy? Oh yeah, the PD-1, PD-L1 plus the CTLA-4 have shown some very interesting data on the renal cancer cell. So it's likely the combination therapy of different kinds. It's just like when HIV initially started. When people really didn't know, oh gosh, this is a virus, and then they started one drug. And it turns out to be effective, but not effective enough. So they start with 2. Eventually got HIV almost stabilized. It's a 3. So it's what they call cocktail, right? So is eventually the cancer therapy become also a cocktail therapy? Could be, and so it's a combination therapy that's going to probably do the trick.
How soon before we see that cocktail, do you think?
Yeah, we are trying it already. It's just some companies have already done 1,000 different kind of the combination. And as you can see how aggressive, it is one company. And that tells you how, really the sense of urgency you mentioned earlier, that we're really seeing patients are in front of us and deliver effective medicine. It means their life. And we can't wait. And so this is, also the excitement of my work.
I was going to say, they have this saying, the golden age of television. Is this the golden age of research, in a sense?
Yeah, I really think so. I think, we are, in the last few years, have really seen that in the cancer area that the immunotherapy, brought us something we have never thought of before. And this is energizing our own immunity. And so earlier I was saying that the brake part, we unleash the brake part. We also have asset that can put the pedal on the gas part, make it even faster. And so this is also combo, right? Unleash the brake, but the other ones step on the pedal of a gas pedal. And so there are a lot of exciting things. And obviously sometimes, you probably heard of cell therapy, sometimes when we do it too much and we have to find a balance where you try to kill the cancer, but not try to kill yourself. So this is the things we're working on.
Very encouraging. Unfortunately, television is similar in that at some point we have to hit the brakes. We've reached that point, but it's been a delight talking to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Mike.
It's a pleasure.